I've seen that a lot in your career. I feel like you beat a couple guys in the BKFC like that too, the half tie clinch and the uppercuts.
Yeah, it's my favorite. I always tell people, I talk a lot about that tie clinch. A lot of people train tie clinch and throwing knees and whatnot. And my whole stance on that has been why I don't need to throw knees. If you're 170 or above, if you get a guy here, I think a good clean uppercut. If you got any sort of power when you're pulling with this hand and it's coming up with this hand, that's gonna that's gonna knock him out. So that'll put him down. So I never really needed to throw knees. I'd rather get the tie clinch, go single, fire that uppercut, and that's usually worked well for me. And then that way I can keep my feet on the ground, and be safe.
Well, a recent stat came out about Ilya Topuria. Um, it said that he's never thrown a head kick or a body kick in the UFC.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I found that kind of interesting, given the fact that they say he's a really good, jujitsu artist. But he's just knocking everybody out. I was at the fights on Saturday. So I saw that, he was just really like
I,
boxing heavy.
and I think people are starting to realize for MMA that is the way to be. It's really the striking is 70% boxing. Many years ago, Bruce Lee said it best. He said, "You want to beat any 20-year martial artist, take a year of boxing and a year of wrestling." And I think to this day that wrestling base, and then the boxing heavy striking. I like I tell people, I don't train Muay Thai. I don't really even train kickboxing. I call it kickboxing, but what I teach is boxing with kicks. You know, real hands. Focus on the power with your hands. And for me, everybody always says finish with a kick. I'm kind of the other way around there too. I know that the left hand is what's going to put him down. So I use my kicks to set up my hands. So the kicks are really to bring the attention down low, and so I can find that knockout. Because when you look at knockouts in the UFC, I don't know what the exact stat is, but I bet 70% of them are from a right hand. 70-80%. So we spend all this time on all this other stuff, but really it's almost always the right hand. So figure out what you got to do to get to that right hand. That would be my advice for MMA striking.
That's actually very interesting. I didn't never thought about that 70-80% of knockouts will come through a right hand. Now that I think of it, probably 70-80% of knockouts on the street probably come by a right hand.
For sure. For sure. And
Yeah.
if you're on the street, listen, keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you don't need to throw a head kick, why take the risk? If you can get the job done with your hands and stay stable, I would recommend that for sure.
Wearing a t-shirt that says never made. I believe him. I think he's telling the truth.